Hi everyone, have you ever wondered how free apps make money? We see them advertised everywhere, but how do they actually make money? In this video, we'll show you 9 actual ways in which free apps make money in 2019. If you find this content useful, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be releasing regular content that I'm sure you'll love. Hi everyone, Gaj Varma here. In this video, we're going to give you 9 real examples of how free apps make money in 2019. If you're a business owner or a manager, please stay to the very end of the video because the last example is highly relevant to you. Before we get into how apps make money, let's have a look at the app market in general. Now, if we look at this graph here, it shows the incredible growth that the app market has had in the last couple of years. Worldwide, the app market has grown by 75% to over $100 billion in revenue. But the most interesting thing from this graph is where most of this growth is coming from. This blue line here shows that China has had an incredible impact on the global app market by growing by 140% just in the last couple of years. What's really interesting is that it's forecasted to grow to 156 billion by 2022. So that's not very far away, and that's 3 times the size of the global box office revenue. If you're ever thinking about getting into the app market, now's an incredible time to do so. So we know that the app market is absolutely huge, but what's interesting is most of the apps are actually free to install. We can see here that 94% of apps in Google Play are free, 88% of apps in the Apple App Store are also free. This graph shows a really interesting average price, so even when the apps do charge for install, it's very, very low. We can see here that the average game price is 49 cents and the average app price is only $1, and therefore the average overall price is only 88 cents. So we know that the app market is generating an enormous amount of revenue, and we know that most apps are free, or even when they do charge, the install price is so low, so they must be making money from somewhere. Now, one of the best ways apps generate revenue is through in-app purchases. 79% of gaming apps and 50% of non-gaming apps generate revenue through in-app purchases. Now, these are purchases from within the app, and these purchases relate to the app itself. It could be related to a particular game or a particular feature in the app. One of the best examples of this is Game of War, and I'm sure everyone remembers that the advertisements were everywhere with featuring Kate Upton, and it was a really incredible advertising campaign. Now, if they're paying $40 million in an advertising budget and they're spending $4.5 million to put an advertisement in the Super Bowl, they're obviously generating some great revenue. This graph is a great example of how in-app purchases actually generate revenue. We can see here that the average spend in the Game of War app is an incredible $550. That by far is the largest, but if we go down the list, we can see on Summoners of War there's 272, Big Fish Casino is 232, even Kim Kardashian's Hollywood, the average spend is $80. So this is where a lot of revenue is being generated for these apps that can be gaming apps or even non-gaming apps. Advertising is also a really strong revenue generator for apps. 81% of game developers and 49% of non-game developers leverage advertising to generate revenue. Now, we know that advertising on mobile is experiencing incredible growth. This graph shows that overall there's been a 23% growth in advertising, but there's been a 42% growth in mobile advertising. So in 2018, 63% of digital advertising is focused on mobile. If you've got an app and most of the audience is spending their time on the app, then having in-app advertising is a great revenue stream for your app. Now, the subscription upsell is an incredibly powerful mechanism to generate revenue from apps, and one of the best examples of a subscription upsell is Spotify. You can download the free version, but it's got a number of limitations. You can't skip songs, you can't listen to the songs offline, and it also plays those annoying advertisements. So there's a strong incentive for you to buy their premium service. Now this graph is an incredible example of how this can be applied to an app. We can see here that 46% of their subscribers are actually paid subscribers, and there's a strong steady growth to being a paid subscriber model. Now what's really interesting is their churn rate has also gone from 7.7% to below 5% in 2018. So in just a few years, their premium subscription has gone up, and their churn rate, being the number of people that are cancelling their premium service, it's going down. So it's a really great example of how subscription upsell can be a fantastic revenue generator for your app. Merchandise sales. Now if you've got a strong following in your app, it can be a really good mechanism where you can sell merchandise related to your app. And a good example is Angry Birds, and we saw that this app was everywhere. It basically came out from nowhere, and it created a huge amount of traction, and 40% of their $200 million in revenue was generated through merchandise sales, and that's purely because of the strong following that they had with their app and the brand equity that their app generated. Mobile commerce. Now this is where you're within the app and you're buying products and services that may not be directly related to your app. And one of the best examples of this is Amazon. Now we all see that Amazon has disrupted the retail industry in multiple countries. They've got revenue of over $141 billion. They've got nearly 50% of the e-commerce share just in the US, which is incredible. So half of the share of the e-commerce market in the US is owned by Amazon. And what's really interesting is they still only have 5% of the US retail market. So there's a huge amount of growth potential for that company. So not a lot of people know about this, but a lot of free apps actually sell data to data aggregation companies. These companies aggregate data from a number of different apps and they on-sell it to other companies. A good example is ASKfm, which is a free app. You can go and ask anonymous questions on this app. They've got over 215 million users. They sell their data to an aggregation company called Huck. Now, based on their earnings estimator within the Huck's website, this could generate over $2 million a month. That's an incredible revenue stream for a free app. Advergaming is another option, and this is where you might develop a game that's specifically developed for a brand. The example that I've got here is the Doritos VR Battle. This was a game developed specifically to promote the Doritos brand, and all aspects of the game was related to promoting that brand. App sponsorship is another way where an app can generate revenue. This is where a company sponsors your app and then you promote your sponsor's company from within the app. You could send them leads from your user base. It works quite well if there's some synergy between your user base and the target audience of the company. An example of this is when Subway sponsored the pre-play football app for the Super Bowl. It awarded points to people that predicted the outcome of each play, and this app basically gave them an exclusive access to the users of that app for a period of time. It's a great way of having a captive audience for that company, and you can actually promote that company and then share your user base with that company. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video that if you're a business owner or a business manager, the last example is highly relevant to you. This graph shows that more and more people are spending time on their smartphone to consume online content. Now, if you can engage your audience on the platform where they're spending most of the time, then digital engagement is a great way for your free app to generate revenue for your business. This graph is a perfect representation of how smartphone usage has now exceeded both the tablet and the desktop to consume online content. So if you have an app and you can engage with your audience on that app, you can drive them into your business. Now, one of the best examples for an app to create strong digital engagement with their customers is the Starbucks app. It's created such a strong point of difference in their market. It promotes loyalty through their reward scheme. You can prepay your order and skip the queue. You can load gift cards. You can do a number of other things with the app. So it creates such a strong incentive for users of the app to come back into the Starbucks cafe. Now, through their own financial reports, we can see that customers that are engaged with the Starbucks app spend 2 to 3 times more money than customers that are not engaging with the app. Their loyalty program has accounted for 40% of US company sales. That is absolutely amazing. This app is continually generating greater lifetime value for its customers that are using the app and is creating a significant impact on the bottom line of that company. Another great example is the Dominos app. Now, if you look at digital engagement, it's created such a strong point of difference with their customers. Domino's is often described as a tech company that sells pizza. You can create a custom pizza with that app and track it all the way to the point of when it's delivered to your door. There's some incredible statistics related to the Dominos app, and I'll just read them out here. 1 in 8 of the UK population had downloaded the Dominos app. Now, online orders in the UK represented 70% of their revenue in the UK business, and over half of that came through the app. Now, these are just a couple of examples of some incredible apps that have generated significant revenue for their businesses. Now, I'm sure you guys have got your own examples. Please comment below of some great examples of apps where you felt so digitally engaged with that brand or that business that you keep going back to that brand or that business because of the great customer experience that that app has generated for you. Just to wrap up this video, we went through how big the app market was and how big it's about to grow over the next few years. We went through 9 real examples of how free apps can generate revenue for the app itself, but also how it can generate revenue for the business or brand that it's associated to. If this content was valuable to you, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be releasing regular content that I'm sure you'll love. I'll also have a link to my email list. Please subscribe to my email list as well. I'll be sending regular emails with some useful content. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope this content has been valuable to you. Thanks. Bye.